Whitman Associates, right?
Whitman Associates.
And
Actually, it's good. Okay, go ahead.
we're live. We're still figuring out the details because we chatted for 15 minutes prior to this. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk with Nina. And I just realized, hey, Bryn, we're in the wrong um, theater here.
Ken?
We need to bring in our logo. I think she can do that in the background. But it doesn't matter. We're here, and there we go. And I'm super, super excited to have Connie Whitman with me today. First of all, she's a wonderful human being, and I love hanging out with her. And she's a fast talker like I am, and a quick thinker, and I just adore her. And she is a sales specialist, sales whisperer. I don't know. How would you say that, Connie?
I like sales whisper. I like that one, I think. All things sales, I got your back.
Gotcha. Very good. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Because without that, no clients. So super important topic, and also an important topic to sort of get your brain wrapped around in terms of what works for you and what doesn't, because I think that is also a big part of it. So Connie, why don't you just quickly introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your background and what it is that you do, so we have context for this conversation.
So, and Nina, thank you so much for having me. And I just have to say, I like hanging out with you too. We always have a couple of giggles or two. So it's fun, right? We have to have fun when we work, and the colleagues that we connect with, there has to be a certain level of synergy and energy. So I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much. So my background, it's kind of boring, but I've been in sales for 39 years, going on 40, believe it or not. And I started out in financial sales. So I went after college and I got my licenses, my Series 7 licenses in the United States, and my insurance licenses. And I did that for 19, 20 years. And then I pivoted. I had kids at home, and the company back in the day, back in the 90s, see, I'm really dating myself, Nina, banks, and I was working for a bank, and a regional bank. They were going through what I call merger mania, excuse me. And every year it was like a new merger, a new merger, a new merger. Initially, we were in buying mode, and then all of a sudden, 20 years ago, a bank bought us that I did not want to work for. They were anti-customer service, and I won't say the name of the bank.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home, and I said to my husband, yeah, that bank, I don't want to work for them. He's like, well, what do you want to do? I go, I want to get fired. To put this in context, we had two babies. I had a 2 and a 5-year-old, and we needed my income. Jersey, New York, It's expensive. So we needed my income. And my husband's like, well, what do you want to do after you get fired? I'm like, and I want to open my own business. And that was 20 years ago. And Nina, we're having our 30th wedding anniversary in January. So my husband gets me, which I think is a good thing. Yep. But here's the deal. In almost 40 years of me, always sales, right? Even as a business owner, we're selling all the time.
Yep.
But when I had employees, when I was in corporate and I had employees, my responsibility was bringing numbers in, right? It's always about the bottom line. And I'm very competitive. So my region had to be, the number one region. Here's the thing, though, and I think this was the important piece why I was successful in corporate and why I'm successful now as a business owner. I'm really good at peeling back people's onions to help them understand where their deficits, and I don't like that word deficits, where there are areas to develop in the process of selling. And selling, it really is a conversation. So where am I glitching out in that conversation? And in 40 years and coaching for 40 years, I'm just really good at identifying, seeing, and simplifying the complexity of, I've got to sell. So I kind of shrink it down. And that 40 years is a long time to be doing something.
Yeah. And doing it really well, right?
Knock on wood. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's dive in right there, because I think that is sort of a pinpoint. So what I see happening a lot, and with myself included, is that there's sort of the ick factor. I'll call it the ick factor of selling. And I always have a talk with my peeps about the famous call to action, which is, without that, why even bother producing a video?
That's right.
And and I always say, a call to action is not a salesy thing in itself. It just is telling people what you want them to do as a next step, which, maybe once in a blue moon is click on a link and buy, but more than not, it's starting a conversation, it's engaging them, it's getting them to download, your lead magnet, whatever it is. It's basically just an instruction.
Yes.
Yeah.
People need guidance. People need, tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Right. It's always about, okay, great information. What do I do with it now? Right. And the application is where the magic happens. And that's why we need a call to action, right? Because it's action oriented.
So maybe one of the more difficult questions right up front, because if I don't say it right now, I'm going to forget it. So, and I think the other thing is, there's the sales process where we're inviting somebody into our world and we tell them what it is that we do, and then they choose to enter that world or not. But I think there's also that other side, and that's, I think, the side where people have their hangups, which is sort of the quintessential image of the smarmy, used car salesperson.
Yep.
And I actually just fell prey to that not too long ago, signing up with somebody who was a phenomenal salesperson. But then when it came to the services, he did not deliver in any way, shape, or form. So I am, where do you, so thoughts around that process?
Yeah. And it's so funny. I hired a writing coach. I'm really good at speaking. Writing's not my jam. Right. So I constantly self-assess what's the next skill I should develop. So I hired a writing coach. He's actually right in Jersey City too. Brian Morgan. He's phenomenal. Anyway, I wrote a post for LinkedIn and it's about this topic exactly. People are duped. And I'm going to use that word because we've all been duped. We've all been had, right? We've all been manipulated. Yeah. You buy something thinking, oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Yeah. And then on the back end, they don't deliver. And we've all been in that position where we feel I've spent all this money. And at the end of whatever the time frame, whatever the promise is, my needle hasn't moved personally. Nothing has changed. Yeah. And all of what they were teaching didn't have real application that I could turn into revenue, extra time, peace of mind, work-life balance, whatever it is that you're buying and working on. Yeah. And so my LinkedIn, I'm creating this post again, and I don't want it to be emotionally driven because I'm really getting frustrated by the same thing, Nina. There are great salespeople, and I do that tongue in cheek. I don't think someone who can sell something and not deliver, in my opinion, they're not good salespeople. There's a little bit of a con going on there, right? Oh, buy from me, I'm so great. Think about years ago in the olden days, right? Where they would come from town to town on their horse and buggy and they'd open their coat and they'd have, Vegemin or whatever it is, right? You're getting conned. Now, here's the thing. The gentleman that sold you or whatever that was, probably believes he's really good at what he offers, but he doesn't know how to translate that into what we do. So you're an expert in video, but you translate it over and help people create dynamic, functional videos. Yeah. I'm really good at sales, right? 40 years, even if I'm a moron, people have to say, well, 40 years, you got to pick something up, right? So 40 years of experience, right? You have that experience, but I can teach it. And I'll just give you an example. And you sat in on my workshop, but I have a 9-week program that's digital, right? And so I have one particular person I want to spotlight. She came in with, I feel icky. I hate meeting with my clients. When I get to the sales conversation, I get the knot in my stomach, and the whole thing. I think I'm going to close my business. So I said, all right, just breathe. Okay. Yeah. By the 3rd week in the program, she not only had made back the investment in my program, she was renovating her bathroom and she took a vacation in August. So you do the same thing. Do this, and this is what's going to happen. And you actually get the results. Same thing. Do this. Here's the actions. This is the results you're going to get. So we're good at sales because I believe sales is not only understanding the client and providing an offer or a package or whatever it is that you're doing to help them with their situation right here, right now. But then when they buy it, the aftermath, you actually do move their needle, simplify, create a solution, whatever it is that we're offering. That to me is a good salesperson. So it's not just making the sale. You have to deliver, and you have to over deliver in my world. Otherwise, that's why we feel we're getting duped. And that's not right. It's not right.
And I think that is where, that unfortunately is where people get stuck, I think.
Yes.
Like, I think everybody loves talking about their services. And that again is the thing, you don't want to really be talking about what you're doing as much as you want to talk about, as you just demonstrated, the outcome, right? So if I hear making back the investment, renovating my bathroom, which by the way is top of my list, and taking a vacation. Who doesn't want to take a vacation? Because a vacation is
Yep.
such a brilliant thing, because it's so multi-layered, right? It's like, not only did they pay for the vacation, they also had the luxury to actually take the time off.
That's right. That's
So
right.
that means that they're doing something really right in their business, because they're able to do that. So yeah. So let's talk about, you have a sort of, you've set up your own system of
Mhm.
teaching how to sell. You have, I seem to remember from the workshop, you had five layers
The buyer's resistance.
of bioresistance. So
Mhm.
I would love to just sort of have a super bird eyes view of that, because if anybody's real interested, obviously I'm sure you have another free workshop
Yep.
at some point in the future. And by the way, I just wanted to say, if she's still hanging out with us, hi to Chella, who was saying hello in the comments. So thanks for watching us, Chella. Good to not see you. See you. No, you're there. I feel your energy. Let's put it that way. All right. So yeah. So the five layers, Connie. I'm very
So
curious.
let me set that up before we talk about the actual 5 layers. And this is how I start the workshop. So we really get our head wrapped around, what does that mean? So there's 2 conversations always going on with humans. So think about when you're with your client, you have this very conscious conversation. What Nina and I are doing right now, we're using English, right? We're using body language, we're sharing, we're talking, conscious. That's about 10% of really how the sale will proceed or not proceed. So 90% of our conversations are subconscious. So we have to not only understand, oh, there's a subconscious conversation going on, but we also have to understand, how do I control that subconscious conversation, that flow of energy, right? That exchange of energy, so that I connect with this person deeply and fully understand what their situation is. And am I the person to help them? That's your job, right? Before you even make an offer, that's your job. It's always about the client. And then the 5 layers of buyer's resistance, the background to that is, and Nina and I tapped into this already with 5 minutes ago. We all have buyer's resistance and the 5 layers because movies like Wolf of Wall Street, Madoff, Glengarry Glen Ross, Always Be Closing. They're obnoxious, they're disgusting, and it's horrifying. Plus, we've all been duped, or we've bought something that didn't deliver. So that as soon as we're in front of a client, they've made an appointment with you. So clearly they're interested.
Yeah.
And yet there's that resistance of, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. I have to think about it, because subconsciously they're feeling, am I going to get duped again? This is $1,000. This is $500. Am I throwing it in the toilet? So we all have these 5 layers of resistance because of the movies, because of our experiences. And our job is to fully understand the client. And how to do that, you have to break through those 5 layers before you even make an offer. And here's the other thing as I go through them. If you skip a layer and you think, oh, I've got this, I'm really good, and I really know my stuff, and I could fast forward, you've lost the sale. So you have to logically break down each layer one at a time, or I'm telling you, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So layer number 1 is the time element. As soon as you walk in front of that client, whether it's live, it's video, it's a phone call, you're on the clock. My kids played hockey, Nina, for, oh my gosh, my son played at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
So when they get on that, and they're goalies, by the way. So when they get on the ice, you're on the clock. You can't say to the referee, oh, wait a minute, my skate doesn't feel right. Can we have a little extra time? You're on the clock immediately. And we have to realize that. The second piece of the time element is you have to let the client know that you are mindful of their time and that you will not go over. And that is showing a level of respect, trustworthiness, and it's starting to build that like, no, trust. And remember, there's another little piece of that, but that like, no, trust faculty.
Yeah.
Layer number 2, and tell me to pause anytime if you have a question, Nina. Okay.
No, I'll jump in. Yeah.
Thank you. Layer number 2 is where now, and I have a free gift I'll give at the end. This is where we have to build rapport and make sure that the client feels, because we're emotional being, feels that I like her, I like him, I like what he's saying, I think he gets me. So you're starting to build that foundation, and it takes about, we say on average 30 seconds, but you all know it could take a nanosecond. And here's an example. Have you ever met someone that you meet them and you think, oh my goodness, I love them. I feel like I've known them my whole life. That could happen in an instant. Flip it. Have you had the experience where you meet someone and almost feel a little icky after? You think, I better go take a shower. Do I still have my wallet on me? We've all had that experience, right? Like, so that building rapport, we say on average 30 seconds, it really could be a nanosecond. So I have a free gift for you that will help with that second piece of building rapport and understanding. And here's the important piece at this level, at the element number 2 or level number 2. I have to modify how I'm communicating so that as I control the subconscious conversation, I can only control me. I can make sure that I'm slowing my pace if I need to, or I'm picking up my pace if the client on the other end is quick pace like Nina. Am I making eye contact, especially live, or is my making eye contact too intense for the client on the other side? I have to look away and then look back, right? This is all how we control that subconscious. As soon as we really tap in and understand who the client is, they start to let that wall down, because they think, wow, they get me. They hear me. People want to be heard. They're really asking, they're really understanding me. That's that second level. And really, we have about 30 seconds. Next layer is layer number 3. And this is where we have to dig in. And to me, all layers are important, but this one, I think oftentimes we minimize it. And what I mean by that is it's the questioning piece, right? So Nina, if I ask you 2 questions and I go, oh yeah, you're a perfect fit for my package, blah, 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 and I start presenting about how great my package is, this is where we're really fortifying, making that layer stronger resistance, because we start talking at the client instead of understanding who they are. And so the questions, we really need to ask 8 questions on average. And then when the client answers, the next step is the 4th piece, which is the listening piece. If we ask a question, you should be taking notes, hints there, right? Ask a question. You have to listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. We should be listening at least twice as much as we speak. So if I do that, and the client is sharing, all of this great information that should help me figure out the package I should create. And I believe in customizing everything, and it should not cost any more. You have stuff created. Nina might need package A and package B. Joan down the street might need package C and D. So as I'm speaking to that customer and asking the right questions, I'm listening to their answers. I'm figuring out exactly what they need and how I can serve them best, right? So those 2 steps are kind of married together. They have to do a little bit of a dance. The other thing I recommend here is when you ask a question, I'm a visual learner, Nina. So I tell my clients, put virtual duct tape on, because our instinct is the client is answering and we think, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, and we interrupt them. That makes my brain want to explode. Let the client complete their full thought. Write the note of the follow-up question you want to ask, so that when they finished with whatever information they're giving us, you could go back and say, wow, that was such great information. I have one more question. You said whatever they said. My follow-up question is XYZ. Can we dig in a little bit deeper there? And this is where I think most people trip themselves up, because we don't listen, because we have a 6-second attention span, and we start talking at the client or prospect way too soon. And that's how we blow this, 3rd and 4 level of resistance. So think about that. Now, I haven't even talked about the 5th layer, and we've talked about 4 pretty complicated layers. The underlying skills to eliminate them. It's not as hard as people think, but it is a process. It takes practice. It takes application, right? All of those things for us to easily eliminate the buyer's resistance.
Yeah. I mean, I have so many thoughts, but I want to get to number 5, and then I'll dig in with my
Okay.
thoughts.
Fifth one is where we present.
Yeah.
So if you've built respect out of the gate, if you've connected deeply with that subconscious level with the client, right on the second one, building rapport, if you've asked these amazing questions and follow-up questions because you were listening so well and taking such copious notes, the fifth one is where you actually present your customized package, your signature package, whatever it is that's appropriate for that client, right? And when you present, and this is important, three things are going to happen. One, the client is going to be leaning in and saying, oh, like, where have you been my whole life? This is exactly what I've been looking for. Second thing that happens is you say to the client, I think you're a perfect client for me, and they want to work with us, but they're not ready. They're doing marketing. They're doing videos with Nina. So I say, listen, learn those skills, because then when you come to me with the sales piece, we could take all of that knowledge and now amplify it within the realm of how do we incorporate those new skills into the sales process? So you're not ready for me yet, but let me talk with Nina and you. Let's have a meeting. Let me understand what you're learning. And then I can teach you how to thread that through whatever, my let's say my 9-step program, my 9-week program. The third thing that happens is you say to the client, you're not an ideal fit for me. What I'm offering, the deliverables are there, but that's not what they need. They don't need sales. They really need marketing and messaging. Yeah. So at this point, and Nina knows I have an extensive network. This is where I say, I'm really not the right match for you. I have a colleague, Nina, this is where I think your next piece of your puzzle is. Yeah. Let me send an introductory email, and all this information you've given me, let me share that with Nina as well. And then you can fast forward that conversation. So you see, I even added value, even though I'm not taking the business. It's always about adding value and being relevant for that client. And here's the key thing. Everybody's like, giveaway business? What drugs is this chick on, right? Here's the piece of the puzzle. Every time I have referred someone to someone else because I wasn't the right person, that person that didn't work with me, they'll end up giving me referrals. So I generate business from them anyway because I did the right thing. What a concept.
Yeah, you created trust, right? Yes. And that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yes. It's always about the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I refer business all the time because people come to me and they want done for you services, which I've done that for 30 years of my life. I don't do it anymore today. So I refer them to somebody who actually, does the shooting and the editing and all that, because that doesn't fit what I do anymore.
Sure.
And I always think, like, you have to come from a place of abundance.
Yes.
So I love the 5 layers. So help me put them together. So there was, the first one is time, being respectful of time, right? The second one is building rapport. The third one is asking the right questions, and then the fourth one was
listening.
And then the fifth one is present what you have to present. Right?
Yeah, customize the package, right?
Yeah, or customize. So several questions. The one that I'm the most interested in hearing the answer is, so there's a chicken and the egg, or, the cart in front of the horse, or the horse in front of the cart. What comes first? Or is there even probably there's no standard answer to this, but marketing or sales?
Okay. And this is such a great question. Marketing and sales, everyone, 2 different things. People say to me, marketing and sales, can you help me? I stop right there. I stay in my lane. I have many marketing people, depending on if you're looking for copywriting, if you're looking for branding, if you're looking for a website, right? Different people, because they're all different things within marketing too. And guess what? I'm not good at any of them. I can tell you if your messaging is off. I can tell you if your website is too complicated and cumbersome, but don't ask me to tell you how to fix it or what to do. I have people that I will send you to. So stay in your lane, but marketing and sales are very different. And here's the real answer. Most of my clients, they're either rebranding or tightening their marketing, and then they bring me in. But they can be done simultaneously, because as you're building, I believe in earning money as you're building and spending money externally, right? So marketing, and this is another thing, don't believe it if people say to you, oh, if you have the right messaging, you're going to make 1 million sales. Nonsense. It's nonsense, because there's so much. Yes, your messaging is important, but are you getting in front of the right people that your messaging is going to land on? So you need to make sure that's right. So there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle in marketing. My feeling is let's get money coming in the door, and that's the sales piece. And as I exactly what I said before, though, as I understand what you're doing over here with your marketing person or with Nina on the video or the branding, whatever's happening,
Yeah.
I could start to build your conversation, right? As we learn those 7 steps in my sales process, right?
Yeah.
The 9-week program, we're weaving that through, but we're getting money in the bank for you. So now you're paying me off, so to speak, right? Because you paid for my program, but you're also paying for all of those services. Whereas if you wait to have all those pieces in place, they're not generating revenue immediately. I believe we should have income coming in, because then we're able, instead of just doing the website, now we're like, wait a minute, let me spend the extra $1,000 and let's make sure that messaging is perfect. Let's bring in a messaging expert as well. So because you have money coming in, you're not afraid to spend that extra grand over here, which will fortify your messaging when you're in front of the client and having the sales conversation.
Yeah.
Did that make sense, Nina?
That makes total sense. Yeah. And I like that, yeah, definitely a different, the marketing versus the sale is just that you can't put it all into one pot, because it's actually 2 very different things. Yeah.
And Nina, here's the important thing. As a business owner, we have to make money, right? We have to earn an income. Number one, we shouldn't feel guilty about that, especially if you're just a superstar at what your offer is and what your deliverables are and everything that you are, right? Who you are. So we should never feel guilty about it, but we have to have income coming in. You can't just keep spending and not have money coming in on the other side, or you're going to go bankrupt pretty quickly. So that's why it's very easy for me to work with other vendors like a Nina, right? And then I could say, okay, tell me what you're doing on the video side. Let's promote that now. And here's how we're going to promote it within the sales process. Next time you get on a podcast, this is what you want to say. This is what you want to spotlight. Let's generate some money coming in. It's all about generating revenue so we could do bigger, better, and serve bigger and better in the world.
Yep. Yeah. I love that too. So customization, I just quickly wanted to touch on that because, we always hear that if we make everything custom, then we can't scale. So your thoughts on that, and it might not be a strictly sales question, but I'm actually just curious. I mean, I know what my answer for me is on that, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
So I believe in having multiple revenue streams. So you should have a low price point, right? You should have your signature, and then you should have your one-on-one coaching, right? Or group coaching, right? So we have to have layers of offers from a price point. And when I say customize, so example, I had a call yesterday, somebody connected us, and the young lady said, I really need help in sales. Well, as I started talking to her, I said, my gut is telling me you don't need my 9-week program. I think that's going to take too long for you. I really think you can hire me for a month or 2. And because you're already advanced, she already had a business, brick and mortar. Now she's translating over to digital. I said, you have so many competencies already in place based on this conversation. I don't think that's for you. I really think, and this will be more cost effective for you. We'll move your needle faster and we could get money coming in the door. And she was like, oh, okay. So people come to us with a preconceived idea of, oh, I need your 9-week program. And then I have a conversation with them and I'm like, yeah, you're advanced for that. Or you're really doing it. We just need to perfect it. I think we need a little one-on-one time. So you see, that to me is the customization. Whereas if putting that person in the 9-week program, for me, I feel like I'm doing a disservice. And let me tell you why, because we could bring in money faster if I work with them one-on-one for a month or 2, right? And it's a lower price point. 2, now they have the money coming in. They might hire me an extra month, right? Made more money for me to say, well, wait a minute. I want to really, they understand me better and how I can help them. Can you help me now with this piece of the puzzle? Sure. And they clearly know who to refer and say, Connie has either a 9-week program in a group, or you could do one-on-one. She has so many different options. She'll pick the right one for you based on the conversation. So it's not a one and done. And that's what I mean by customizing.
Yeah.
Does that help? Did that make sense?
I like that a lot because, and that's exactly what we're doing. We are actually implementing our low cost next month, or lower cost. And then we have the signature thing. But even within the signature thing, I feel, because again, we're in a creative field and everybody works differently, or, generate information differently.
Mhm.
There's a lot of flexibility within, but yeah, and then there's the one-on-one, which can be totally customized, right, to whatever you need, and it can be as short or as long as you need it to be. Yeah.
And the other thing, if you're doing a one-on-one and someone, you have two people that really would benefit from, and you say, you know what, I
Mhm.
could, as long as, I get paid whatever my hourly is that I want to charge, right? Because one-on-one, it's more of an hourly cost that, or investment. I could say, if you'd like to do a group, you guys would each save money. I think you could connect, and I think you'll complement each other. You might be able to do business together. I'm always looking for the connection too. So you see
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not a one and done, Nina. It's how can I creatively match people or bring people together and serve them with what
Yeah.
I do, right? But that's the customization piece. And if you have the bandwidth and you're not a one trick pony, you
Yeah.
should be able to easily see, based on the client in front of you,
Yeah.
this is exactly what you need. You actually don't need that. But if you only have one thing, it's hard to do that
Yeah.
shifting.
Well,
Yeah,
what's that saying? If you carry around a hammer all the time, everything looks like a nail, or isn't there an
that's right.
expression? Yeah, like that. Yeah, and that's I think, or it's nice to have that signature program that you're known for, because
Yeah,
that's where people sort of find the hook at
that's
what
right.
you're known for, and I think
That's
that's
right.
really important as well, right? So
And
there's.
you asked about scalability too. See, I was
Mhm.
listening, Nina. Did you get that, everybody? I was listening. So you asked about scaling as well. And if you customize, is that hard to do? And my answer is no,
Mhm.
because you could still create group programs. If you start to find those like-minded people, then
Yeah.
for me, let's do a group, whatever that looks like, mastermind, whatever the client needs. You bring them together, and then you say, now how can we network and support each other? And then you start to build that dynamic. So now your business is growing, their business is growing. Oh, they're sending you more people because you're so good at helping them connect and get better at networking too, which
Mhm.
is another avenue where we can bring revenue in, right, through that
Of course.
networking. So
Yeah.
scalability, as long as your infrastructure of the business is there, you should be able to scale easily when you have multi-point price points.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think, and this is something that I kind of really like got into this summer and really realized is that, I mean, it was always there for me, but I never was able to like verbalize it, is that if you have a structure or a playbook or whatever you want to call it, um, within which you operate, that allows for a lot of creative freedom because you're coming from a solid base. And that's how I teach my people is, I want you for you to video to be as simple as, writing an email. How to get to your email software and click on new message and then write the email and have an automated signature in it and all that stuff. And that's how easy I want video marketing for you to be, or video creation for you to be.
That's right.
So then you have the liberty and the extra headspace to really go crazy on the creative aspect of it. And
That's right.
so that's kind of, or on the content aspect of it.
And can I comment on one more thing you said that I think is real important?
Yeah.
When you schedule, I'm a schedule freak. So people
Yeah.
laugh because I teach time management too. Most people are horrible with time management. And people laugh, they go, I can't believe what you get done in a day, because I have systems in place
Yeah.
that make me like uber, productive. So the thing that I do is control your schedule. So
Yeah.
example, I block out Fridays. That's my recording for my podcast.
Mhm.
Tuesdays, that's when I'm with my corporate clients. If I'm not training at a corporate client that day, I could start to feed in client prospect calls, right? So I control my calendar very strictly, and the last week of the month I leave blank. I can either take a vacation if I want, get downtime. I
Yeah.
could catch up. If I really need to talk to Nina, I can add it in that week. So by controlling your calendar and not being all over the place,
Yeah.
you need to do that as well. Otherwise, you're never going to scale, because the sky is falling, right, all the time. You'll be chasing your tail.
I just learned that too. So I have the coach I have now, Shannon Hernandez, who is fabulous, and she does the same thing. She calls it the CEO week, so that you schedule yourself once a month, the CEO week,
Yep.
and I just started doing that, and what it did it just, all the puzzle pieces sort of fell into place immediately, because now I'm like, oh, okay. So my Connect and Convert cohort is always going to meet the first, second, and third Monday or
That's
Tuesday
right.
of the month. I'm starting a new club, Video Influencers Club, which is sort of an ongoing mastermind affair. That's
Fun.
always going to be the first and third Tuesday in the month. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, I now know when I can travel to Europe, because I go back and forth between Europe and New York.
That's right.
I now looking at the whole year going like, holy crap. I know now when my dates are when I'm traveling. Because, shutting down one house and then, coming back
Yeah,
to America and reopening my apartment here. It's not a lot of work, but it is still work. And, half a week of work just goes poof. So,
that's right.
and
That's right.
having that kind of and I calendar block everything. I actually stopped having to-do lists, and everything I need to do is a I'm looking at my calendar. It looks horrible. It takes a moment to get used to it, but I color code it, and
Yep.
happy green is my off time, and I schedule everything, because then I also know what I can say yes to and what I can say no to. And I also color coded my happy things and my sales things are very similar. They're two different shades of green. And I think just psychologically, I want green to be something that I look forward to in my calendar.
Nice.
So if I look forward to giving myself 2 hours to do a little bit of artwork, and there is another green right there, which is a sales call, I want that to be something I look forward to. So, yeah.
And think about that. As soon as you do that, Nina, you schedule in your creative time, right? So, in that week that you have, you think, I want to build, I've been getting asked a lot, and you have a lot of people who want to, and that's another thing, create the program before you, don't create the program before you sell it, and then create, right? Everybody says that. That's not a new tip, right? Everybody gives that recommendation. But if I know that I'm saying, yeah, we could do that, we're going to start the first of the year, I give that week off. I could create a program in a weekend, let alone a week. So you allow for that creative time, excuse me, you allow to set it up on the technology. So now you're not panicking. It's scheduled. I know I can do it. It's done. Because you know you're the expert. You know what you're going to put in that content or that class or that whatever.
It's just figuring out how you're going to deliver it. And I mean, we've done and redone our cohort several times. And the first time I offered it, I built it as I was teaching it.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew exactly what the 8 weeks, back then it was an 8-week program. I knew exactly what every week was going to be.
Sure.
But I had to kind of also get a feel for the people in the group and how they were learning, because that was the first time I was doing it. This is 2 years ago. And in the meantime, it's morphed, and it's a fabulous program, but it really helped to, build the ship as you're sailing, or, build the plane as you're flying. Although that sounds a little scary. But
that's a little scary there. But I get what you're saying. Yes.
So our time is nearly up, but the one thing I didn't get to at all, and that was something that really fascinated me in the workshop of yours that I attended, was I think it was on the layer number 2, you had these different personas. And I was a little, I got so stuck on the first one because I thought it was so fascinating. The other 4 that you had, or however many you had, just went like whew over my head. But how hard is skill? I mean, to me, that seems a skill that's really hard.
It is
To learn, right? Is that something you teach? And
yes. So it's funny. Yeah, Nina, that you struck me funny in the workshop. Nina was like, "Wait, Connie, stop."
I'm not digesting it.
She's like, wait, I love this. Can you repeat that? It was adorable, Dina. It was adorable. But see, you knew me, and you knew I could interrupt her. She'll be able to pick up where she left off, right? So that's some of the people I had never met on the workshop, and they were like, oh my God, like she's interrupting her. It was really very cute, because they probably were all thinking the same thing. Wait, can you repeat that one more time? So here there's five behavioral models. Humans, we communicate with a certain persona. I like that word, right? So we have this certain persona out there. So years ago, when I first started in sales, I was taught a model. It's called DISC, D-I-S-C. D for dominant, I influencer, C compliant, and S is steady and secure. So it was brilliant, and it helped me really develop that subconscious conversation that I talked about before, because I understood the person in front of me was an S. Now here, see, I just said an S, and you're thinking, wait, what was S again? So
Sure.
the other, it's a brilliant model. It's been around since the early 1900s, right? It's brilliant. Here's the problem that I found with DISC. People would take the test and lie on it because it was the most and least, right? So I created, and I had a partner who helped me with this. We created a communication style assessment that you have to rank yourself. So it's not a most or least that you could go in and lie, right? And when they say lie, you're lying to yourself. You're not lying to me.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of taking the communication style assessment, you get a report and it goes through the 5 layers, the intensity of each layer and what that means. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Here are the 5 layers. First one is the stimulating motivator. And the other thing I didn't like about DISC is I'm an ID. What does that mean? Where I'm saying you're a stimulating motivator. So I speak a lot. Well, pre-COVID, I spoke a lot. There'd be 200 people in the room and I'd give them the CSA. They would get an email to take it and come prepared. And then they could really ask me specific questions after I teach them what each behavior was. Yep. And people would come up to me I'd never met before. And they're like, oh, Connie, I'm a heartfelt advocate. I'm a stimulating motivator. And I would giggle like they knew what that meant just from the title. I did my job because you shouldn't have to go back and say, wait, what was that again? So stimulating motivator, high energy, mover, shaker, you get things done and you love supporting people, right? Stimulating motivator. Second one is a heartfelt advocate. You lead with your heart. You love, you wear your heart on your sleeve. With every one of these, there's a superpower. There's also a blind spot. And I talk about that in the training. The third one is the precise assessor. That's their inventors. They're very precision, precise assessor. They assess, they reevaluate, they reiterate. They create. So they're very creative, but they're also a little socially awkward because they love to reiterate the task, not reiterate conversations. Where the stimulating motivator and heartfelt advocate, they love people. Precise assessors, can I work quietly in my office or in my lab? There's a little bit of a difference there. Then you have the innovative organizers. Your innovative organizers, they innovate, they organize, and they create. They're your CEOs out there. We need CEOs who pedal to the metal. Let's get this to market, right? And they're very driven. The blind spot for the innovative organizer, you could be viewed as rude because it's about the task or goal. Let's get it done. Let's move it. And then the last one is the observing designer. You observe and you design. So the observing designer are the people that go down the rabbit holes and they research and they research and they research and they research. 8 hours later, they're like, oh, where did the day go? I've been researching. They're your observing designers. And there's challenges, but there's strengths with each of them. We're a combination of all of them.
I mean, I saw myself recreated in quite a few of those actually. Yeah.
Yes.
And then how hard is it? And I know we can't go into this in much detail. So you get on the phone with me and we have we established that you're respectful of my time. And now comes layer number 2 and you're like, holy crap, what am I facing? Who is this person? Is it like that instantaneous that you know who you're dealing with?
Yeah, it's a great question. And here's the thing. As soon as I teach it, was it easy to understand each of those styles? You're like, oh yeah, I can resonate with some of them. Oh, my sister's a heartfelt advocate, right? You start to understand it. Now, application is a different story. Right. So that particular, and it's funny because I've been asked this so much lately. I had never created a program around this. Mm-hmm. And it was funny. I was sleeping one night and had a dream. I'm like, you got to create a program for this because just too many people are asking me now. Yeah. So we need to work on that. However, in my 9-week program, I have woven that CSA through every layer. So we talk about when you're asking a question, what do you need to do to modify if you're in front of an observing designer? What do you need to do to modify your series of questions? Because you have to pick up your pace, you have to slow it down, you have to ask more detailed question, you have to allow time for the client to respond, whatever it is. Yeah. We apply that. So by the end, you're pretty good. However, you need to practice. And what I recommend is always the test is free. So take it, come through my program, hire me, whatever it is, or just figure it out. I have a book out there as well that it's a workbook that matches the CSA, the communication style assessment. Mm-hmm. Ask your family members to take it. And then they can opt out of my list if they have no need for me. Yeah. But now they have the CSA info. You could start to say, oh, that's how a heartfelt advocate is. So then when you're 30 seconds in front of that client, that's my sister, heartfelt advocate. And you go into how you would talk to your sister or your brother or your colleague or whoever it is. Yeah. So it's easy to understand. There's a lot of practice to perfect. And really, really, if you want to perfect the skill, you have to allow yourself 6 months of playing with it every time you have a conversation. Then after the conversation, think about, were they stimulating motivator? I think they were an innovative organizer. Let me go back to my book. Let me look and see what they were. You'll get, the more you do that, within 6 months, you're rocking it. You don't even have to think about it.
Is that the link that we have for you?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go and take that immediately. I was actually thinking of you. I had a sales call last week with this lovely young woman, and she drove me bananas because she asked every question 5 times and then took notes and then reiterated again and again and again what I just had told her.
Yep.
And you know me, I'm like, I move at the speed of lightning. It's like, if you're not with me, and then then in the end she didn't sign up with me, and I actually was really happy because I felt like she and I would have been a terrible match. I would have
Yes.
rollered all over her, probably, if she had taken my course, right? Especially the group course, maybe less so than one-on-one. But yeah, it was like, and I was thinking of you, I'm like, oh damn, I should have paid more attention to those 5 different, because I obviously have one of them in front of me, and it's a very pronounced one, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, that's it. See, now again, just based on that description, I would say she was a precise assessor.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
And
as you were explaining it. And again, I mean, I get it. I can be very precise too, but I was
we
like,
all can.
yeah, we all can. But I'm like, oh my, this is like testing my patience right now.
You're flying at the speed of sound, and they're the anchor saying, wait, we have to anchor to make sure we don't sink, right? Or we do this. So, and you're thinking, what? Will you keep up with me, please? So, but see how important, just based on that,
Yeah.
you referred back to the workshop. So you learned something. It's now take it so that you really can understand your style and get more familiar with the other styles. But here's an important thing you said too, Nina. Probably good you didn't take that client on, because if it's going to be, everybody isn't a match for us. That's what I said before. When you get to ask for the business, 3 things happen. Can we start immediately? You're not ready for me. I'm not the right match for you. And it's okay. Doesn't mean that they're not a lovely person.
No,
You just don't have the patience or the bandwidth to deal with that type of style. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and I think that's really important to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
And that's always where I say video comes in and is so brilliant, because when people see me speak and I put out a lot of video, they will self-select themselves most likely.
That's exactly right.
Because they're like, okay, I was curious. This woman did attend a 3-hour workshop or 2-hour workshop with me, that she still wanted to talk to me and sign up. But I always feel that by doing a lot of video or being out there with video, it really helps you select the right people who will even get on the call with you, because chances are that they liked something about you enough to book that call.
And see, you just said something very important too. You built the like, no trust through the videos. I have a podcast. Most people that end up in my workshop and they sign up with me, I didn't know them. I'm like, oh, how'd you find me? Oh, I've been following your podcast for 6 months. It's like you're talking directly to me. Then I knew I had to get on this workshop, and now you're going through this workshop. Oh, I need you. So I don't even know them, but they know me, because it's very hard to put on a facade, video after video after video, podcast after podcast. You are who you are, and it's going to shine through, especially on a video. So I love that aspect, because you're building that like, no trust before they get in front of you. Now they're in front of you. How do you earn that respect that you are the right match for them? And that's your responsibility to say you're a good match, or I need to refer you off, right? That's the integrity piece, Nina, that we were talking about at the onset. The deliverables. If you know you can't deliver, please refer them to somebody else.
Yeah. And I actually just because we're talking about it, I wanted to be there. So I just put the link to Connie's assessment into the comments, and we'll post it one more time. And if you come across it, just like it, so it sort of bubbles up.
Yes.
So people can actually see it. And I think I only did it might have only ended up on Facebook. So, hey, Bryn, if you can distribute that to all of, yes, thank you.
Yeah, and please, Bryn, put my email in because, this is an overwhelming topic. I get it. So if you want to take the CSA and jump on a call just to kind of dissect it, and I did that live during the workshop. I take one person and I kind of coach them to their CSA, tell them their superpowers, and then say, these are the things you should be mindful of and try to work on and minimize. So I'm happy to do that as well. I'm happy to do that. I love talking to people, so it's fun for me.
Yes, yes, and I love that too, and that's what I have to keep in mind when I think of sales. Is it's nothing else but having the luxury of a deeper dive with somebody,
Yes.
see whether you're a good match and whether you really want to work together, right, and spend some time together. So we're nearing the end of this wonderful conversation. Wanted to thank Chella, who has apparently been hanging out the whole time with us. So woot woot, thank you.
Is that my Cella Bella?
Yes, it is.
I love my Cella Bella.
And we got some really nice comments. So I'll go through them. Connie will go through them later. I'm a LinkedIn person, so I'm most likely going to, go there first, but I'll have a peek at Facebook as well.
Wonderful.
And I thank you all for listening to today's topic. I was really excited for this conversation, and I'm still excited. And I can't wait to take the assessment myself and see where I land.
Perfect.
So, Connie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And so if you want to have a conversation with Connie, her email is connie@whitmanassociates.com. It's in the comments. And do check out the CSA, the Communication Style Assessment. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
And that is at whitmanassociates.com/CSA.
Yeah, you got it.
And again, it's in the show notes, aka the comments. And thank you again so much for taking the time and sharing all your beautiful knowledge with us.
Thank you, and everyone have a wonderful, happy, joyous holiday season, and be safe.
Yes.
Thanks, Nina. Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.